There we go. Pro streamer forgets to unmute himself. Welcome on into the Dragon's Den, everybody. My name is Digital Dragon, and I am a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. What does that mean? Well, it means we do everything from 3D printer unboxings like the X1 Carbons and the Creality K1C to full up 3D printer builds like our Vorons here, the LH Stinger over here, and some of the others that are underneath that you can't see. We also do printer mods, which is one of the things we're getting ready to do today by installing a bunch of mods or upgrades to the BambuLab X1 Carbon. I'm also in the prototyping arena, and I take part in many beta tests like the box turtles that you see up here. I was beta testing for the trad rack, and I've also been a beta tester for several of the Phaetus hot ends and nozzles. And that's one of the things that we'll be installing today. Sorry for forgetting to unmute myself there. Hearing aid check. Yep, there you go, Timor. So Timor, you were saying that you're going to be deconstructing printers. Let's see, you've got 2 Huracans, you've got 5 Ender 3 variants. You've run out of space for printers. And wife is complaining, doesn't understand why I only have 30 printers. Yeah, Mrs. Dragon does the same thing. She complains about the fact that they're not just up here, that there's like 5 in the dining room and 4 or 5 in a spare bedroom. Kind of gets a little mad around me about that, but yeah. So welcome on in, everybody, and welcome on in Dark 3D or Dark Third Dimension. Glad to see you here as a new face. Welcome on in, Eagle the Dragon, Nick, Mr. Wizix. How are you doing this evening? Tech Jeeper. I saw 491 Phantom earlier. And yeah, just welcome on in, everybody. You told us the winner lotto numbers too. Now we will never know. Yep. You forgot you also have 2 Elugu 3s. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, in fact, with all the printers I have here, I think I've got 7 printers over at Evil Diesel's house, and he also has my Mars 2 Pro over there, and he just bought was it the Saturn 4 Ultra or whatever, on their New Year's Eve sale. My wife is wanting me to get an XL and a Cocoa Press. Unfortunately, my wallet says no. Well, Dark Third Dimension, if you have other printers, you can sell some of those or sell prints to make money to buy those things. But yeah, neither one of those are fairly cheap. And I love the thought of Cocoa Press. I just don't have a use case for Cocoa Press. I mean, Cocoa Press is great, but Cocoa Press to me is the epitome of a 3D printer as a tool. It makes great sense if you're doing custom prints for catering events or weddings, stuff like that. It doesn't make great sense just to have build on the channel to, do random content on. I cannot, I can't justify that expense. We'll put it that way. Yeah. So, oh, that didn't help much. You don't call them printers, you call them art structures, then you can justify. Well, sorry, I'm going to have to clean my glasses because what I did just made it worse. You mentioned that, and I've had people like, I don't know, this guy by the moniker of Maker Millwright or the Free Heathen, and he has basically said that my builds are art. So I think that means that I can sell a $1,500 kit for like 10 grand, right? Once it's built. Hey, 3D Medic Vents, welcome on in. We're just gabbing a bit, and I am having to clean my glasses because my attempt to clean them on my shirt did not go very well. And it's kind of hard to read chat as it is. So if you all remember, I had cataract surgery, and I was supposed to get new glasses after that surgery. I finally went down and saw my regular eye doctor and got the script and got my glasses ordered. And she was asking me some questions, and that's when I realized that my cataract surgery was literally over a year ago. It was like December 29th, or excuse me, November 29th and December 6th. So I've been rolling on an outdated prescription after having laser surgery and physical like part replacement in my eyes. And I keep wondering why. I'm like, why can't I see those words? Yeah, it's a dramatic shift. So it's going to be fun. Hey, Pete, welcome in. Yes, the bubblegum dragon. There you go, Phantom. You can sell it for whatever you think it's worth. The question is, will anyone buy it? That is true. That is true, Tech Jeeper. Hey, Chewy, how's it going? How's it going? Yeah, it was a year ago. Yep. So tonight we're going to be working on the Bambu X1 Carbon. One of two that I've got. And what are we going to be doing to it? Well, we've got a Panda Jetpack. So there's two different types of cooler mods that you can do this. You can do the Jet, the Panda Jet, which is just the lower vent opening portion, or you can do the Jetpack, which replaces the whole front piece. We're going to have the Panda Extruder, which replaces the plastic extruder body with a CNC aluminum two-piece extruder body. We're going to replace the plastic drive gears and stuff with the Panda Claw hardened gear for the X1. And then we're going to install a Phaetus Conch, but we're actually going to use this one, which is the engineering example. And I'm going to hold on to this other one for the time being. That may go into some other project. So that's the plan for today. Hey, Zombie, welcome on in. Can you buy a box turtle? Sure. The Jet is a bit jank. Yeah, I have found that I have had more, these covers rarely come off. The other X1 Carbon right back here that I've already put a Panda Jetpack on, I get more alerts from that saying that it's loose. Now, mind you, it's just a wiggle it and hit resume, but we'll see. If it turns out that I have more issues than it's worth, then what I'll do is I'll basically take off the skeletonized top, because it's, it's just unscrewing the base there, and we can switch it back over to the standard and use the upgraded ducting. So I'm just going to drag this back and try and pull this stuff out. Unfortunately, it's going to make it fun. We're going to actually build this stuff on the bench here in front of the printer, and then we'll install it. But trying to take this apart is going to be a little bit of fun. I've got the camera down here, but this door's kind of in the way, and I'm kind of hesitant to try and take the door out. So I think the best thing to do would be to undo the screws and take the door off the hinge. And I kind of don't want to do that either. So yeah, I can definitely send you one of mine, Zombie. You've always seen Bambu like the Empire, Prusa like the Rebellion, and Voron like the Jedi. There you go. Just the duct version didn't work well for me. You had to keep gluing it back in. Okay. Timor, you want a $300 gift card from Hector, so you'll wait. You'll wait for... Oh, a box turtle kit? Yeah, there you go. Unscrew the door. All right, cool, Zombie. All right, so you're saying unscrew the door and get it out of my way. Let me figure out what size screws these are. Look like they're a 2mm driver. I'm going to take the bottom off, and then I'll take the top two off. Wow, that's a very, very small, darn it, a very, very small length screw. Set those over here on something white so I don't lose them. And we're going to do our best not to pull an Uncle Jesse and break our glass, because that will negate some of our upgrades. Okay, so those 4 screws are out. And the door's off. So now we have the door off, and I've already got the top off. That should hopefully help us see things a little bit better. And the nice thing is that I was afraid of getting the door lined up right again, but it looks like these door hinges will line up really nicely. Okay, now because we're doing the Jetpack and we're going to be replacing things on the whole front cover, easiest thing, we're just going to pull the front cover off. We're going to turn it around, and we need to undo this first, the one cable that connects the front cover to the machine. Now they've got this silicone glue on here, so you got to be careful to get this booger snot stuff off so you don't damage the connectors. Kind of what I refer to it as is booger snot. And the nice thing is they say, oh, you can put some replacement on there. No, I do not want to do that. You want to carefully remove that wire. Okay, so it's this wire here that we're removing. This wire is the pass-through that drives the fan. What we're going to do is remove the fan and this board up here. That's all we're going to do to take this stuff out of here. And it's 1.5 at the top and 2 back here for the fan. And I'm going to take these out and put them right down on our table here. Now you probably don't have to pull these all the way out to get the fan out, but yeah, no, I don't want to do that content, Chewy. No need. Once again, these are real small, tiny screws, so be careful popping these out. So this circuit board here, and that just made me want to grab one of the paper towels I have over here to put down so I don't have screws hit, bounce, and go all over the place again. So with the screws out, this plate should come off, and we're just going to lightly push on the fan to get it started, pulled out, so that we can pull it the rest of the way out. Just like that. So here's the standard bamboo fan duct. And as you can see, there's not much. It's hitting one side good and the other side's kind of shorter because it makes room for the LiDAR. The other thing that's interesting is the discoloring, right? So you can tell how much this is discoloring in here. And on the outside, this one's been printing a lot of ABS, ASA, some polycarbonate and carbon fiber. This has been getting introduced to a lot of VOCs, and I think that's why that shroud is so discolored. But we'll open up our Panda Jet box here, or Jetpack. Ah, yes. Now, you get a nice card with the QR code. I believe if you scan the QR code, it'll go to the wiki for the installation guide. You'll get some stickers. You can put one of these stickers in the center of the fan, and that way you can see it through the front plate here. And here's the new front plate. Nice skeletonized, so it's going to be really light. And let's take a look at the fan shroud. So here's that stock fan shroud. And then here's the BIQU fan shroud. As you can see, it loops around and it gives, it's coming at it from the four corners, so you get more even cooling. That's a good purpose for this. And if you're getting just the Panda Jet, which is the lower portion, the actual fan ducts, it's literally going to be taking out a couple screws. This fan duct comes off, you put the other one on, and you put a couple of screws back in, and boom, you're done. So it's pretty easy on and off. And keep this around because if you ever need to send the printer back for anything, you want to return it to stock before you send it back. So they'll be like, hey, you've touched this. And we'll be like, yeah, it's a bamboo. I had to fix some things. Things break. What we're going to do is the straight reverse. This is going to go back in here, just like that. Once again, if you want to put a sticker on it, put a sticker on it. What did I put on the other one? I think I just did the white Panda. Yep, I just did the white Panda. So I did the bottom left here. Which one do you guys want me to put on this one? Hey, Waters, how's it going? Any suggestions on which one? Black and red? You're biased towards blue, black and red? Okay. And you're talking about this one right here, right? This black and red? I mean, we can always swap them out. That's no big deal. And this will probably be the one and only time that I'll see them fully facing upwards. We're just going to try and center this. Press them down on there. Okay. And our pretty panda face is now going in here. And you don't want to cut these because that is kind of giving it the structural rigidity. So do not cut this centerpiece here. But we'll set this back in there gently. Be careful of that wire and catching it. So put this back in there. And you'll want to make sure that you get your holes lined up on these, on the plastic molded pins, basically, that the fan will slide down on. I don't know if you can tell that here. Basically, you're sliding it down on these pins. So it's going to slide down on there, and it'll pop in. And then when you put the screws on, it's basically just going straight into that pin and holding it in place. So we'll get these going. You don't want to crank down on these. You're just putting them in place. They're just holding that fan in there to keep it from rattling around or coming out. Are you going to rename this printer to Pretty Panda Face? No, Nick, this is still going to be Dragoon 1. So I refer to this one as Dragoon 1 and the other one is Dragoon 2. If I get any more, I'll just continue the Dragoon series. And then this piece, which acts as your light bar, is going to go right into this piece here. Now it does have a BIQU face in here. You can print any of these out that you want. So you can actually put the printer name here if you want and do any other customizations that you would like. You're just going to line that plate back on there. Get your tiny, tiny screws ready. And these are just going to self-tap into the printed part. And just like that, the first mod is technically done. If we were done doing mods, we would just plug this back in, and you have to come up from underneath because this now loops around the your hot end. You got to basically come up from underneath, and it'll line up and pop right back on there like that. But now that we have to do more, we're going to pop this back off. We'll set this to the side, and we'll get ready to start doing the rest. Now you could put this somewhere else. You can put this in here and close it up and store it this way. I've just left mine out, though probably not a bad idea, but I think I threw the other box away. We're just going to leave that out. Stickers we'll leave out. There was, that's nice. I didn't pay attention to this because I have my own tools, but in the box are the 2 Allen keys that you're going to need to do this mod. So if you need some spare Allen keys, they're there. So everything you need to do the mod is in the box. So one down. So we're just going to set that over there off to the side. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is we can take this whole assembly out as one, or we can just take the hot end out and kind of break it down one at a time. Either way, it's going to start by taking out all of the connections here in this top right. So let me move this a little bit more forward for you guys so you can see. So we've got our connections here, and it's going to be as simple as gently pulling these out. Don't pull on the wires, pull on the connector itself, especially, let me bring you guys up here so you can see. Okay. This wire that I just pulled out, this is the heater wire. This connector over here, this tiny, tiny connector, is the thermistor. If you crank on those wires, you're going to rip those wires out. And then you're going to have a sad day because those are going to suck. Now, they're not that expensive. You could probably, oh man, let me see if I can't get you hanging up here somewhat. Get you closer. Okay. So once again, we want to get in here with our fingernails or a pair of tweezers and pull on the connector, not the wire. And actually, I'm going to try and get this one out of the way first. Oh. Pull this out. Great mod by K2 Kevin. If it breaks, no worries. Print a bunch of these when you do it, and you can just swap it out with a new one whenever you have to get in there. But it's really good at holding this in place and rotating it around nicely. So let me see if I can get this one up here out, which will be our fan. I have to use some tweezers. Fish my wires out to get them straight. And I can get my fingers on either side. It'll make it easier. Okay. Do as I say, not as I do. That one's out. Now this one has a little depressed clip on it. So once you get the fan wire out, you should be able to push down and pull this one out really easily. Okay, so these 3 wires right here are everything that goes down to our tool head. So now if we take our 2mm driver, there's 2 screws right here in the front. We take these out. One. Two. Now your whole assembly here for your hot end, so don't grab it by the nozzle down here in the heat break. Kind of reach up behind it and grab it at the back of the hot end cooling duct itself. Safe side, let's go ahead and pull the wires out of this side clip. Should be able to wiggle it and wiggle and jiggle it out. Just like that. Okay. You will see some filament in there. That's because it's got a filament cutter, so there is some filament left in there. That's not a big deal. What we're going to do is we'll take the fan off of this and we'll keep the hot end just as it is, and we'll put it in our tray, and we'll get our conch hot end. We'll put on a new heater thermistor, and we'll just transfer this fan over to the conch hot end. Okay, so we're going to take this and set this aside for the moment. Now what we're left with is our extruder, and you'll see we've got one more set of wires that come over to this piece right here. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's a lot of goop garbage on here. So take your tweezers and try and scrape some of that off, being mindful of the wires. And trying to film this in tight quarters. Kind of a pain in the tuchus as well. Once again, this is a silicone, like RTV style goop stuff that they use to lock these in place. So it is a high heat silicone. And on both sides, so we'll have to try and pick off the other side here. Once again, sorry, I think I'm going to have my hands in your way for a minute. I try and scrape this off the other side. Make it easier to get this out. You know what? I think it might just be easier to pull our extruder off, and then we'll be able to get in there easier. So I'll push this back because we're going to have we'll have 3 screws that we have to remove. Top left, right here. Bottom left, right underneath the cutter. Okay. And the far right over here, before I do the last one, we need to remove this set screw some, and I believe that's going to be our 1.5mm driver. Yes. So this set screw is what prevents this from popping back out on the spring mechanism here. So we're going to remove that set screw, not completely. We're just going to loosen it enough that our lever is going to be able to open up and kind of rotate down and out of the way. So we're almost there. We need to get it the rest of the way. There we go. So now that's done and out of the way, and you can see here's the spring piece right on this side. So this is one of those coil springs. So there's the spring piece right there that acts as the spring for this. So now that that is done, whoops, we'll take out our last screw, which is, I see a black screw on black part right underneath this cable. If I can get my driver on it. Where did you go? There we go. Now, this wire that's here, you may think that that's the extruder motor or something. It's not. It's the filament runout sensor, which is right over here. So we're going to need to pull that out. There's our extruder there. We need to get this off. And what I've basically done was given myself a little bit more room to get in here and clear out some of the goop that they put in here to secure this in place. Hey Keela, how's it going? Once again, this is like a high temp RTV silicone. It sucks worse than, like Creality uses hot glue. This stuff sucks worse because it is a silicone. It at least hot glue is, once you start it to get it to pop, it's going to pop right off. This silicone, it stretches. There we go. So now that's off, and you can still see some of the residue of that crud on there. But as you can see, every single one of these connectors is a different style, which means putting this back together is going to be super easy, and we're not going to have a chance of messing things up and putting stuff in the wrong way. Also, what you can see, I'll bring you around in here, is the extruder motor is still in there. So the extruder motor stays in. We don't deal with any of that. So for now, I will bring you back over here to the bench. And I'll scoot this back out of the way. And we can work right here on the bench top and do these next couple of pieces. Because now we need to deconstruct our extruder. So filament comes in at the top. We'll have a tensioning spring right here. We've got a couple of small screws that are going to hold our filament sensor in. So we'll start by removing those. And that should enable us to remove the filament sensor, because I don't think, I didn't think we needed to remove that back piece. Maybe we do. Maybe we do need to remove all four. And just like that, that popped off. So that goes on the extruder inlet piece. don't think I should have been able to pop this out. Oh, you know what? That's probably why. Oh, there we go. I just didn't pry hard enough on it. So I really didn't need to take the two screws out of the back. So let me slip this back on here and put the two screws on the back. But that is um, your filament inlet and your sensor. There is a little metal leg there that as that gets kicked in, it's going to trip your optical sensor, your IR sensor. So that's how that's getting triggered. Now we're going to need to take the two halves of our extruder apart here. So there will be 4 screws. And these seem to be our 2mm screws. Okay, so if you, with the hot end, you wouldn't need to tear this down. It's literally taking the 2 screws off, undoing these 3 wires, take the 2 screws off, kind of wiggle it, and it'll pop out. And at most, you're going to have, you can reuse the heater, but I'm going to leave the heater and thermistor on this hot end and just put new thermistors and heater on the conch hot end. I'm going to take these 2 screws out, transfer the fan, and then you're bada bing, bada boom. So it takes like 5 minutes to do one of these when you're not trying to do it on stream. Okay, so we've removed our 4 screws, and we should be able to just wiggle this front cover off and pull it out. Now we want to make sure that our bearing stays in there, especially if we're going to be reusing this. We'll pull the large gear out. So there's the large gear. Now this is a plastic, an injection molded plastic gear. And then this is our actual drive gear. These are perfectly good. There's nothing wrong with them. There's not a bunch of garbage on them. This is the other levered gear. And what we're going to do is we're going to undo the screw some. I don't think we need to take it all the way out unless we're having to, probably so. We'll probably have to transfer this out. But if you don't take it all the way out, you should be able to pull this out just by removing some of the pressure on the spring. Probably be easier to do with tweezers. Remove some of the pressure on the spring, and this should be able to fall out. Maybe, maybe not. Actually, I think I'm going to have to transfer this over anyhow, so I'm just going to take it the rest of the way off. Actually, we're close there. There we go. Popped out. I just didn't have it loosened up enough. And then once again, here we go here. And once again, you can see all the discoloring on here from the heat and stuff. Kind of interesting how that discolors so much. And there's our part. We've got our spring with the cap that's used to drive the screw up and compress the spring up against our what do they call that? It's a well, it's the idler arm, idler bar, what have you. And then we've got the other bearing down in there. What we're going to do is go ahead and open our Panda extruder. pull that out. So there's our Panda extruder housing. Very nice CNC'd. It is in multiple parts. You will notice there's 2 screws already installed here to keep the 2 parts together. That's no big deal. And I think we will use those 2 screws because I think if I remember right, those may have like different lengths than the standard screws. And once again, we'll have the necessary Allen keys to work this. We have 2 screws in it. We've got 2 extra screws, and we've got the 2 bearings. So the nice thing is we won't need to use any of this. We'll be able to basically, we'll need this screw for the spring retention and the spring itself. But the actual drive gears and this housing, we'll be able to put back, just loosely set it back in here and close this back up, because once again, we'll now have this as a spare down the road if needed. And, or if we need to return this back to stock because we need to send the printer off to BambuLab for some type of major maintenance or an issue, we can return everything back to stock in just a few minutes as well. And yeah, I would definitely do that on stream. So are you installing the Panda Revo then on yours, Keela? Because that's the only thing I didn't put on here is the Panda Revo. And that's basically because I've got Phaetus Conch here, because Phaetus was nice enough to let me in on their beta test program, as well as they sent me one for my Christmas gift. So in here we've got some nice grease. We'll use this to lubricate some things. We'll once again have some, here, these bearings? I think these are bearings. If so, now I've got 2 sets of bearings. That'll be nice. And yes, these are bearings. I'm not going to open them up. I'm going to leave them in here because I don't need another set of bearings. This is basically giving us a set of bearings. Excuse me. And then there's our gears. So that'll give us a set of bearings that we'll be able to use on these. And let me see if I can get this out. There we go. Nothing else underneath. So what I want to do is just test these bearings out just to make sure that they're not a different size. And the bearings that came with the extruder housing do fit on here. So that tells me that they maintain the same bearings as before. So spare bearings now that will go over in my stash for later. Now what you'll notice is on the old gear, we had, the metal gears themselves, but the drive gear here is plastic. This is now all metal and it's all one piece. So, or at least it's well machined, and the drive gear, the filament drive gear here is pressed on there. So we've got very nice gearing here. We've got our very light cage work here. What's the difference when everything's all said and done and put together? That I don't know. We'll have to, maybe at some point, I don't have a scale here I can use. If Miss Dragon was listening to the stream, I could probably get her to bring the kitchen scale up here and we can do some tests. But so this drive pin right here will be the axial point that this drive pin will go in. And the other nice thing is this is metal. The one that's in here is plastic. So that's why we're getting a lot of discoloring on that as well, is it's that plastic that is changing colors. You're surprised at the effectiveness of the Kitty +4 filament sensor. The large spool jumped off your holder. It was smart enough to detect the filament was still there but not moving. Nice. Now, did yours come with the replaced SSR or did you replace the SSR? Nick, your Kitty 4. And yeah, it should really be sold with the update. And in fact, I've seen a lot of people that are not using even their updated board and are putting an actual like Omron or Panasonic SSR in it. And that would be really what I would do. Okay, so we're going to put this together the reverse of how we took it apart. We've got our bearings here. We need to get that one bearing down in this bottom hole here. So we're just going to kind of slide that in place and push it down in there like so. Now I have that bearing there. The other bearing is going to go on this face right here. So we'll just take that bearing, we'll line it up, and that's going to be a nice press fit. That went on there very well. And we can just take a quick look at our other one just to make sure that we're putting it in right. So yeah, that's the way it goes. So our drive wheel here will go down in there. Now, they talk about putting some grease on the drive wheel here and making sure not to get it on the filament area. And then you can also put some grease on the larger metallic wheel here. And that's going to help keep the noise down. Okay, now this is the grease that they gave us. I'm not sure what kind of grease this is, but I'm more apt to use the grease they provide than my Mobilex EP2, just because I don't know how this viscosity matches or is different than the EP2 Mobilex. So like everything, we'll get a glove going because this is grease. This is a petroleum-based product. We should still protect our skin. And I'm probably going to sit down when I go to do this just so I can make sure and not get it everywhere. So, whoops. Once again, we can get some on the drive gear side, but not on the filament side. We need to make sure that we only get it on the drive gear. And this may actually be a good place to put some down and then use like some toothpicks or something like that versus just a big finger when you're trying to get into a smaller area like this while trying to stay away from the other. Now, one thing that you can do is just going to snip a corner off of this satchel. It does have a tear point, but I'm going to snip a corner. What we'll be able to do is I'm just going to get a very little bit of this on my pinky. And I'm going to carefully apply this to the gear itself. And I'm trying to get it on there without like really smashing it down to get it in the gear, but not everywhere. So we're getting just a little bit in that main drive gear there. And once again, I am going to do the larger one as well. Because once again, this is going to help reduce the noise that the extruder will make now, because we're going metal on metal versus, you know, that injection molded or palm plastic. And I'm just going to try and make sure that we get all of that gear coated, whoops, while making sure that I'm not getting any on the filament gear itself. And if you need to, you know, come back with a Q-tip or something like that to remove any that you've got a bunch of extra on it or something. I'm just setting it right up against the gear and then rotating the gear with my finger on the other hand. Whoa, that almost got scary. Being sure we don't need like a huge massive gob of it. We just need a thin coating. So go slow, take your time. And if you think you're starting to get heavy-handed, then stop and rethink how you're applying it. Because once again, you don't want a bunch of this all over the place either, because it will then get smattered in your prints and all through the printer. And you just want to make sure that it's got a little bit to try and, like I said, keep the noise down. You're not going to use all of this. Do not try and put all of this on there. It will lead to bad things. Okay, so now I've got stuff all over my hand. Let me try and clean this off somewhat. If you want some more control, quite honestly, looking at this, you could probably just use a Mobilux syringe, or if you have spare syringes, you can put that in a syringe and then get a little more tactical in your application of the grease. So now that we've got that in place, we're going to take our greased up idler arm, and it's going to go down on this peg here. Line that, and we'll slide that down in place. Okay. Now, we'll need our spring with our cap. And that spring is going to go down in that depression point. Just get it kind of lined up. We'll need our long screw. Get this started. And we're looking for alignment here. We're not looking for real compression of that just yet. So what we're looking for is alignment. We've got the spring in there, and we've got the screw coming down, just touching that spring or the cap in the spring, and we've got it lined up on the detent in the top here, so the spring's not going anywhere. But we have a little bit of movement here, so we'll kind of let it drop back. We'll take our larger gear. Once again, just take a quick gander and make sure you don't have any grease on the filament side. And we're going to start to put this in, making sure that we keep the filament gear away from the grease that's on this piece. Kind of hold it up towards the top until we get that just passed. We'll line up the piece in the bearing here. And then when we go to set it down in here, we'll just kind of rotate it a little bit. Bearing slid out. There we go. We'll just rotate it a little bit. And we'll see that everything's popped in nicely. Okay. That's popped in there now. We don't have any grease. I'll triple, quadruple check by spinning this to make sure there's no grease in the filament pathway. And there is none. So now what we can do is fully tighten this screw, which will bring this lever and the other idler against the other side there. So we're just going to fully tighten this screw, decompressing it all the way. Compressing it all the way. And boom, just like that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is take our other piece here, and we need to get it lined up. And where does this go? Long piece comes over to this side, and this hole right here, this secondary hole right here, goes over that peg. We're going to have one over that peg, and then the other side goes in the other bearing. Once that gets lined up, it should just drop right down on there. Lined up there, or oh, we're in line. So I'm going to hold that together, and we're going to take these screws and put them in. Whoops. These are 2mm hex head screws. Now I'm not going to compress it all the way just yet because I want to make sure that all of them are lined up before I start cinching everything down. Then we'll come back and do a final tighten on them. Okay. Just like that, there's our new extruder put together. We'll tighten these down the rest of the way. Hey, Bearded Printer, how are you doing, my friend? We are assembling the Panda Extruder, which is kind of a misnomer. It's not, yes and no. It's a CNC'd framed extruder, which is fairly lightweight compared to the other one. And we're also installing the Panda Claw, which has a hardened drive gear, right? As well as the hardened idler. And the idler arm, which you can see in here, the standard, say, brushed, or not brushed, but satin finish here. That is all metal as well. That's an aluminum arm, where the one that's on the standard extruder is plastic. So this entire housing here is plastic. The only thing that's metal in here is some heat set inserts and some the actual filament gears themselves. So nice little setup there. I can go ahead and deglove. So let me get this glove back off. Okay, good, Nick. Yeah, I know that a lot of people have said, because I think it was Fader at 3D Print SOS that did his, and he said that it was definitely better well made, but I'm not sure if his was a final production version either. His numbers did show, and I think ModBots as well showed that the amount of heat being generated was a lot less. But I think he still went ahead and swapped his out with an actual SSR. Um, but yeah, so hopefully everybody's doing well. So once again, old, new. So we'll take this and this will get installed the exact same way as the other one. What I need to do is orientation wise, put it that way, put it that way. Okay. So here's the 2 through holes for the hot end. So same thing here, the 2 through holes for the hot end, which means our filament input and our filament runout sensor piece gets slid in right here. So it'll get slid in all the way like that. And we'll be able to put our 2 screws in. Once again, these are, I think, 2 millimeters something or others that are using a 1.5 millimeter driver. Thank you to LDO and the Positron team for giving me one of those. And that's now installed. So if we need to, we can just rotate this around. We see areas where we don't have any lubricant, we can add some more lubricant on this. I think the lubricant that's on there will spread out over time. So I think we're good there. And once again, our old extruder, our old front cover, we'll just keep those and we'll put those in our bench stock, which we have a lot of spare parts already for the bamboos because we expected those to be workhorses. And then all that's left is going to be our conch hotend. Once again, this is the this was the beta version that I got. This is not the final version. I do have one of those they sent me in my Christmas package. So I do have one of those here. This will be the final packaging for the conch hotend conch. And once again, you'll have either the standard, which has a silicon carbide tip, or the plus, which is what this is, which is the silicon carbide nozzle tip and the encoded internal throat, which will just provide better abrasion resistance. This is a 0.4 that they sent me. So this is also a 0.4 engineering unit. So we'll be good to go there. Now, once again, they do provide a couple of things in here. A couple of things being, it's out of the way. Whatchamacallits, drivers again. So we'll add those over there. There's a spare screw that we're not going to need, I don't think. I cut off. And it does have the sock on it. We'll pop the sock off. And that's where I'm going to say we're going to need to install our own heater, our thermistor, and the spring clip, which, not get the spring clip off of there. No, this one doesn't have the spring clip. grab a spring clip out of my stash. Give me 1 second, folks. Actually, I have to pick up a couple of those. Okay. And you're going to need one of the spring clips that'll slide over it and hold your heater and your thermistor in. Now, once again, these came bare. There was no heater or thermistor, so I did order a couple of extras here so that I had some on hand. So there's the heater, here's the thermistor. Be careful. These have very tiny connectors on them and very tiny glass beads. So be careful with these that you don't damage them as you're taking them out of the package. These are always good to have spares on hand, just in case. They're pennies. I think they're, a couple dollars really, a couple dollars. And really, it's probably good to have a full set of hot ends on hand because the bamboo hot ends are so inexpensive. So once again, we're going to go ahead and get this prepped and ready. So let me put a glove back on because we're going to be smearing some of our thermal paste. And that is what this is in the package. This is a thermal paste that we'll use to help conduct things. So there's the hole that our thermistor is going to go in. And then our heater, I believe, goes on the front where there's a little cutout divot in the side there. Kind of hard because of the reflectivity. There's a cutout on this side, so that's where our heater is going to go, and then our thermistor is going to go right there. So we'll take some of our thermal paste, tear that open, and what I tend to do is I'm going to just squirt some of this thermal paste out right onto the detent where we're going to be putting the, oops, it doesn't go on this side, it goes on the longer detents. It goes on the longer detent side, not the shorter detent side. So we're going to be putting our paste on this piece. Get some of our paste out there. And then I take my bead thermistor, basically just stick it down in there and get a gob on it. Maybe use that some to spread stuff on there. Paste spread on there. And then with the gob of it on there, makes it easy to take and stick in the, because that thermal paste is what we need to get better conductivity of the heat back into the thermistor. Now that we've got that, we're going to take our heater, and the wires come in on the one side. We want that up, and the complete flat side of the heater is going to be facing down. Put your wires in the wire channel there. Bring your heater up and set it in place gently. Just line it up with the bottom there. If things squish out, no big deal. No big deal. We're just trying to get that lined up. We're going to take the wires from our thermistor, make sure it's pushed all the way in. We're going to bring our wires up and put them in that channel as well. So that channel is going to provide space for all of our wires. Make sure that that's lined up. Then we're going to take our clip. Now you notice that there's a bulge on the clip. That bulge is where your thermistor's at. So make sure that that bulge lines up with where your thermistor is going to be when you start to slide this clip on. Now you're going to need to take and hold your ceramic heater from getting pushed up as you slide this on. Just start to work this down onto your clip, being careful that you don't damage your wires. And thermistor wires are very brittle. And the clip's going to go on until it reaches the end. So once again, there's a detent here. You're pushing your clip all the way down onto it until it reaches the end. And that's where you know it's up high enough and it's locking and holding everything. So just like that. Now you can take a piece of paper towel and just wipe out any excess of your thermal paste that popped out. There's your hot end put together. Once again, your heater's on the top, your thermistor's on the side. Wires come up and hook through in this little channel here. That's good. And we're going to need to take the fan off of our other one. And before we go to do that, we need to put our sock back on. Where's the sock that I took off? Now, pay attention to this and how the sock goes on comparatively. So the side that's got the wording on it is where your Phaetus is going to go. The side has the wording. That's the side that the Phaetus logo is going to go, so that the split in the back goes back here where your wires are at. Cover this up. Shove that on. Making sure that our little ends here flip up and over our wires. Get your wires caught. Up and over, up and on. Good and matter. Just one. Probably up and wires once again get put down in the groove behind here so that they're out of the way. The reason that groove is going to be important because your fan's going to go right over the top of these wires. You really need to make sure that the wires are down in the groove and out of the way so they won't get caught in the fan. Thermistor wires are the ones that are finicky, hot end wires. You get your thermistor wires down there, your hot end wires will probably help hold them down and out of the way. Now we need to remove the 2 screws at the front here. And those are going to be 2.0 as well. Yeah, the fact that you can get an entire hot end here for like 20, 30 bucks is great because it's literally the entire hot end. Those pop off. We're going to take the fan directly off, and stickers kind of stuck there. And we're going to put the fan right back on in the same orientation, and then we'll line up the holes and get our screws back in. One in. And bada bing, bada boom, just like that. our hot ends transferred over. We got all of our wires and everything ready to go. These wires, we're literally going to bend over to the right, follow these. And there's our spare hot end ready to go into the box so that we have it for bench stock. This is a spare screw, don't know where it goes to. And now we've got options. We can go ahead and put this back into the printer and get this set up and then add this in, or you can go ahead and add this in now. Literally, our wires are going to bend over to the side and it's going to mount just like that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and mount this in the printer, get that part back done. So let me bring you all back up here in the printer. Set you up that. We're going to bring this back in. Our wires appear to go around the front edge of our PTFE clip. So we'll run those around the front. We'll get that lined up just like that. And we'll need to get our, I should have prepped one of my screws to start with. Grab one of our screws that we took out of the other one. And one goes right underneath that connector there. We'll get in a little bit. Okay. Now we can take our hand off and get our other screw ready. We'll go up here at the top. And then the third screw goes down here at the bottom. Okay, and you'll notice, remember we took our set screw out. That's going to go in this slot here, which is why it allows it to clip close and, or open and shut. So flip this back around, making sure that our blade gets down, whoops, making sure the blade, we do not pop out of its slot. Leave it goes in that slot right there. Make sure it gets lined up. Now we'll take our 1.5 millimeter driver and screw this back in. I believe it just goes flush. We don't need to tighten that down. It just needs to be flush. And seems way too tight in there. Normally this sticks out here, so I'm not sure why we're so tight. Definitely want to make sure that it's loose enough that the spring will work. I think that's actually fine right there. Double check. I think it's just might be hard for me to see the way it sits. There we go. I think it was just this bottom screw wasn't screwed in all the way, but that's working just fine. Now we're going to take our sensor wires. Once again, they come around the front. They'll get put into this bottom here. They only go in one way. Okay. And our wire just kind of tucks in and down like it did before. So we'll just tuck those in there. Again, we're going to keep this wire up out of the way. We're going to bring in our snooze that ad for a minute. We're going to bring our hot end in. Once again, our fan goes to the right, and all of our wires needs to kind of mash down next to that fan, and it gets brought up from the underside like so. And we'll have our 2 screws that'll go in here. Once again, with our 2mm driver, get one of these ready. And I'm not doing it all the way until I get both of them in there, and then I'll tighten it up together. Everything's still working well. And we've got our thermistor. Our thermistor goes down here into the front. Now, normally there was, on the old extruder, there is a little wire clip here. There's no wire clip here, so we're just going to be running these straight over and up. Now our clip is at the top, so we'll need to flip this around so that it can go in with the clip at the top. We'll clip that in and then kind of tuck our wires down. Our fan wire comes up and goes over there on the right, or excuse me, not our fan wire. That's the sensor, or no, that's the fan wire. The sensor wire is down here. This is the fan wire. And that wire kind of just follow the tuck. And then our thermistor wire comes all the way up at the top. Goes in. And once again, we're going to need to just kind of tuck this in and out of the way. Right back in there. So we're just kind of tucking things in and pushing them back so they'll stay out of the way. And knowing that some of these wires, like this heater wire here, will conform and kind of hold the others in the back. Now, last but not least, we'll need to plug our LED and fan board in up here at the top. Once again, it only goes in one way. That lined up and pushed in. And our wire goes into this clip up here at the top to keep it out of the way. I should have done that before I've stuck the wire in. Easier. Or not. There we go. Now we'll pull that over and plug that wire in. We've got our wire through the little cable notch there, plugged in. And once again, because of the extra size of the fan shroud there, we can't just push it straight back because the nozzle won't make it through there. So we kind of need to bring it down and then back up. And it just clips on just like before. Just like that. Everything's nice and sturdy. Now, I didn't put our PTFE tube back in, and I'll slide this off, hanging around, and we'll put our PTFE tube in. But when I do, I'm going to go ahead and put another one of the K2 Kevin swivel mounts on it. And this just helps bend our PTFE tube to make sure that we get a nice, good, um, even bend, and we're not getting a sharp bend point right at the back side of the tube. So we just need to take something to make sure to push this in and guide it down. Get that pushed through. This comes in and gets pushed down in there. And then this clips down around that black top piece there. And like I said, you'll get it on once, and then when you take it off, you'll normally snap it off. But that's why you print numerous ones of these out. These are all printed out in ABS. So they're going to be nice and heat resistant. And that, my friends, is our tool head put back together. Let me wipe off any debris from the top of that bed. Get you moved back over here. Brought up. And what else? Now I do have a, what do they call it? The Panda, is it the Panda Lux? Yeah. I do have a Panda Lux upgrade kit. This is a light bar that goes along the front of the printer and just magnetically attaches to the front. And you wind up just undoing the standard light that's in here on the side. And this will be one up in the front. Now I've heard that it provides a lot of illumination and it may drown out the camera some. So we'll see. Like I said, I haven't really looked into this one too much. And by the way, folks, all of the products that you are seeing here, I have bought with my own money. This was not sent to me. This is all stuff that I've bought with my own money. And once again, this metal bar here is magnetized, so it will mount directly to the steel frame underneath. And we would just be plugging in this wire. Now that wire does need to be plugged into a board. So basically we're going to bypass their board and run this board. You cannot run both of these at the same time. There's not enough available power. So it's one or the other. And oh, by the way, folks, I know I never showed this, but all of these are available from Big Tree Tech and various resellers. You can get all of this at KB3D, West 3D, Fabrico, so forth. But you've got things like the Panda Lux. It's $9 right now. The Panda Claw extruder is about $23. The Panda Jet, which is just the duct, is $27. Or for a little bit more, you can get the full Jetpack. That looks like it's $40. And the extruder is currently $40. Right? Now, there are things like the Panda Power and a bunch of other things that can be used to extend the power. If you've got a P1S or a P1P, you can use the Panda Touch. Yes, it works on the X1. I just don't know. I mean, the X1 has the nicer screen already, so I don't know if it would even be worth it for an X1. Hey, Pez Liz, how's it going? Happy Thursday. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'll install this. Maybe you know what? Let's click here on the Panda Lux and just for giggles, see if they have links to the install pages from here, if I'm going to have to go and try and find the install page. Yeah, effortless upgrade. It magnetically attaches, so super easy. Powered by the printer's original light bar connector and can be directly controlled via the screen because of that. Um, does it? Come on, not have the, apparently not. No link directly there. So let's go to the Big Tree Tech Wiki. And wow, that's, go to the BIQU. What do we got? And claw, touch, branch, hub, jet, fur, lux. There we go, lux. What we're gonna need. 31 LEDs, so a lot more LEDs and a lot brighter. Package list, install instructions. That's what we're going to be looking for. Following instructions use the BambuLab P1P as an example, but it should be the same for the X1. We're going to attach the Panda Lux to the underside of the printer front door frame, centering it in place. Okay. And like I said, this does have built-in magnets. So let me switch over to this view. So this does have magnets built in. So this plate is basically just going up like this and attaching to the steel plate. And you just have to center it side to side. And it just sits there and is held on by the magnets. That's it. Boom, done. Physical mounting of it is now done. Now, what we need to do is the electrical piece, which will involve using this board and some jumpers. So remove the protective cover off the AP board if you are installing on a P1. We're not. We're going to be doing an X1. Or open the plastic cover on the right side of the frame you're installing on an X1. I think they meant the left side. This is the, yes. So it's this side over here. Let me bring you guys up and around. So this piece is right here. We're just going to pull it forward and we'll see some, if I can get you guys stuck there. Okay, nicely. Okay. We'll see that we've got a little board here. And I think we can continue to pull this whole thing off some, but I'm going to leave it on there. But we've got this little board here that runs to the screen. I think this is the one that's going to the current light. We're going to route the Panda Lux cable along the edge seam to the top. You guys are not seeing that up real. Small down there in the. Guys, Liz, how's it going? Yeah, so bring it around and up into this channel. There is a little spot right here where the other wires come through. We're basically just going to bring it up here with the other wires and bring it around like so. Disconnect the stock light bar connector from the AP board. It should be, this is showing it over on the left. There's no way it's running over on the, well, it goes, where the hell is it on? Got to be this one up here. Got to be this 2-pin all the way up here. Yeah, there we go. So it says the stock X1 is on the left-hand side underneath the bar, which is what I'm looking at right now. And what is this? Some 3M stuff. This some tape to tape things down. So already has some 3M tape to the back. You actually show this thing has 4 connectors. It'd be really nice if it showed a picture of the board and said which connector goes where, but it doesn't. It says connect the light bar to the board, connect the connector from the other thing. I guess we'll watch the installation too.
What's up?
Hi, Jira. We brought you here.
Hello and welcome to the installation tutorial of BIQU Panda Lux LED Upgrade Kit. Without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, turn off the power, then turn the printer around and take off the top glass. Remove the protective cover on the AP board. Remove the stock LED connector and tuck it aside. First, install the LED bar simply by placing it onto the steel frame. It will magnetically attach. Then thread the connector through the punch hole next to the AP board. Next, connect the adapter cable onto the AP board and the adapter board. Then attach the LED bar connector onto the adapter board. Please note, even though there are extra ports on the adapter board to plug in both the Panda Lux and the stock light bar, it is not recommended to do so as this may exceed the max current of 0.3 amps.
Okay. So you see if there is there is an actual punch in this steel frame. Let me run this up through the punched in steel frame. Oops. Up through the steel frame and over. Okay, so that's there. And this is a tiny JST without a clip, where the other one is going to have a clip, I believe. So we need to pull the 2-pin out over here. Does not appear that there's any goop on it, so that's good. Undo this one. Come on. Top down clip or front back clip? Trying to feel if there is a clip on this or not. Does not feel like there's a clip. Doesn't feel like there's any goop on it either. Is this a top bottom? Where did I stick the board again? There's 2 different connectors here. This one has, a clip on the front of it. So this is going to be the one that we connect to the board and then bring to the board. This one goes to the light. This one doesn't have a clip. This is just like one of those tiny JST pH. You'll see there's pH connectors and then ones that take clips. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And this doesn't look like a standard pH connector. It feels like there's got to be a clip on the front side there. I just can't seem to get the clip depressed and pull the connector out in one shot. Kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can get a better look at the connector using the camera. What I'm trying to do is see if there's a clip on there. Doesn't look like there's a clip on there, does it? Maybe it does just have the goop stuff all over the top of it. Maybe that is just goop. Okay, yeah, we got that out. It was just goop stuff. Standard weird pH connector. This goes to the board. This goes to the board. No, wait a minute. This didn't go to the board at all, right? That side goes there. This side doesn't go to the board at all. This just gets disconnected. This one gets connected into the board. This one, once again, just gets pushed out of the way. This board would need to be stuck down somewhere, which should be able to get stuck down like right there, out of the way. Move the film. That's probably not going to be a good place to put that after all. Put this in there. Let's see, is there enough room to bring this to the front edge here, which it looks like there is. Get this all tucked in to the front edge. Come on now. Okay, I think we're good. Everything's in place. I do have a power cord over here that I can plug things in with. And we don't have the AMS installed, but we're fine with that for now. We're just doing a power on self-check and see if everything comes on. And then if it does, we can start putting things back, like doors and stuff back on. So we do have the BambuLab coming up. Wow, that is a lot brighter than the stock is. Definitely a lot brighter than stock. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick some panels on, and we'll get our door put back on real fast. Of course, the grommets come out, because why would they not? Oh, dang it. There's two. Third one's there, and there's two down there. So get grommets back on the door, centered around the pegs. Get a couple of screws in, and then we'll fix the one on the bottom. And it's telling me my carbon rods may need to be cleaned. What do y'all think? Do I need to clean my carbon rods? Probably. Okay, so we're almost back together. Door still closes well. Everything looks good there. Tools away. And no, I don't want to go to the page about the carbon rods. I will clean them real fast though while we've got it out here and it's easy enough to do. Grab some paper towel. Normally a little bit easier to do with the top off anyhow, and not having a whatchamacallit, a AMS sitting on top of it. I'm just going to get some isopropyl alcohol on our paper towel. Move our tool head to the side. Wipe down our carbon rods with some IPA. Make sure to get all the way around them. Let it dry some. Push it to this other side. And get the part that we couldn't get to before. Now we can take some time here to wipe down other stuff back here. You can see there's little bits and bobs of stuff everywhere. So now is probably a good enough time to wipe down stuff. Kind of do some preventive maintenance, I guess. Just be careful and don't wipe down your actual steel rods with IPA. There's no need to do that. You'll probably do more harm than good. And like I said, a bunch of garbage coming off there. So probably a good thing to do some preventive maintenance and cleaning. The other thing that I'm going to do right now, once again, these are high temp machines. So I do all my ABS on this one. Probably a good idea to swap out the carbon filters. I've got several of these. I have some new voxel ones on the way that are carbon and HEPA filters. So the carbon is going to get rid of the smell. It's not necessarily going to do anything about VOCs, right? So the voxel ones, once I get them, they should be here. They're saying Tuesday of next week, and those will have HEPA filters in them as well that will filter out the VOCs. And if I like that one, when I get it in, then I will start using those more and more. But this will just slide in there. We'll take our plate and drop it, because why not? That back in there. And I don't have the AMS on this. I took it off before the stream just to make it easier. So I'm going to take the side or the AMS tube off, and let's put a spool of something on it. Do a PLA. What do I have here? This is ABS, or ABS is not on rolls. So we'll just grab some Anycubic gray PLA. I've been using this. It works well. I have had a little bit of issues with it in the AMS. And yes, I did stab that bag because it's not resealable. It is okay to stab non-resealable bags. The resealable, keep some of them. If you go through a lot of them, maybe not keep all of them, but feed this in through the back. And filament load. Apparently we got to tell it what kind of filament it is. And we're just going to go with generic PLA. Firm, turn. On now. Generic PLA. It's a high speed or not? Can't remember. Do it regular. Fine. PLA. Grab a color, any color, don't care. Firm. Now, if everything went well, this will load. You make good filament trash bags? Yeah, true. Right now it's heating up. About to have an ad start in a couple of seconds here, so it has grabbed the new filament. It was doing a purge. I'm going to tell it to do more just to be sure. And yes, it is purging more. And once again, from doing all of our upgrades, every single one had a set of Allen keys in it for 1.5 and 2. I've got thousands of these, so I'm going to just toss these in away or in the garbage. So we're good. So we'll say done. We're going to go over here to files and just see what I might have on here for PLA. Simple, basic, one color print. Yeah. Something not too crazy, like, hey, let's just do an outer diameter gauge. Really? You require 2 colors for that? How about something that's not multicolor? Sure. This will be the little swipe, or not swipe. Oh, sometimes I can't put words together. It's the filament, it's the round disc thing that, here we go. We're going to do one of these. We're going to do a new base for one. And if this will show me, yeah, here we go. So I will pull up the actual internal camera view, and you can see how the Panda Lux has really lit this up compared to the standard one. So if we go over to Dragoon 2, which is the standard light, which is coming from the left side. So here's the light off the left side and kind of how just dank it is versus coming over here. Also, I am going to need to leave this open, and let me swap out the engineering plate for textured. What I really want. I don't know if it'll bark and complain about me using the cryo grip. Now this is a BIQU. What I just put on there was the Big Tree Tech or BIQU cryo grip. This is the Glacier. Probably take the top off as well. Yeah, because we're printing in PLA, we don't really need the top on for this. Normally I just leave the front door cracked open on them while I'm running PLA prints. But so far on this printer, we've now got the Panda, excuse me, the Panda. We've got the cryo grip, the Panda BIQU Tech Panda cryo grip, Glacier build plate on, which is a cooler plate. We've got a Big Tree Tech Panda Extruder, the Panda Claw hardened gears, the Panda Jetpack. So that is the cooling shroud with the full front faceplate here to add some prettiness to it. And we've got a Phaetus Conch Plus hotend. And the Conch Plus is a silicon carbide tip nozzle with a Endcoat coated heat break and throat. So that means we've got a really good abrasion resistant filament path past the, or all the way through the extruder into the hot end, and then that really nice silicon carbide tip. Now granted, the standard stock BambuLab is a hardened steel nozzle. I would assume it's got a stainless steel heat break in it. I don't know right off the top of my head if it's actually a stainless steel or not. But this is going to provide a little more wear resistance on the nozzles. And once again, considering I've already pushed polycarbonate CF, I've pushed ABS CF, ASA CF, nylon, PA612 nylon CF through this from Polymaker. I mean, the nozzle, let me see, let me flip over to the bench side real fast. And that nozzle tip really, focus, please focus. Okay, anyhow, the nozzle here is looking really, really good considering the fact of everything I've put through it and the amount of filament that I have put through it already. It's still like you wouldn't even expect it. I'd have to get like a macro camera, which I do not have. But we'll go back to the printer's camera right here. But yeah, this it's perfectly fine. Build plate's not the same as the G-code file. That's great. Resume. The G-code, I'm assuming, is built for the texture because that's what came with the printer. Printing a mini fridge model for your granddaughter. COPE steel gray came out really nice for the doors. Awesome, DaVinci. Was that you that posted on, was it X, I think? I recently, earlier today, I saw a little mini fridge. It was like the double French door top with the chest bottom that slides out. That was a really cool model, by the way. Also on these printers, I had printed out these really large poop trays. They're really big. They're made to have magnets put in the side, so it just magnets to the back. I wind up not even doing that. I just leave them sitting behind there, and it sits down low enough that normally, because of what I've got it sitting on, it would not interfere with the spool, and it catches all of the poops. So that's been really nice, and it gives me plenty of time to print with it without having to reach back there and pull it out all the time. Suppose that I answered that on the front. That Pandalux does give a decent light. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing good today. As soon as this starts laying down, we'll see. I think this is like a 19-minute print or something. I don't think it's that big or that long. Or at least I don't think it is. But once this gets started, I may go ahead and call the stream there and head on out to watch the football game. So for those of you that don't know, there was an incident in New Orleans last night, or not last night, the night before, on New Year's Eve. Well, I guess we could say yesterday morning at 3 a.m. Somebody drove into a crowded street party in the French Quarter and hurt people, right? By the way, I printed one of these trays out. Really good for holding your spare hot ends, but really bad when they actually have, the full hot end put together. Doesn't fit down in there. So I've got the other one I took out just laying down there. I'll have to figure out another place to put this and the extruder. But like these, keeps your little grease packs and everything in them. Helps you stay organized. I need all the help I can get to stay organized these days. I'll have to figure out another place or another. I've seen ones that allow like the full hot ends to go in them, so I'll have to find one of those. Print one of those out as well, so I can have a spot for those full hot ends. Garbage. These are spares as well. Spare stuff. But anyhow, the one of the 4 semifinal games that was supposed to be played last night for the college football championship was not played because, holy crap, that's a spool holder. That is not what I was expecting it to be. Oh, that would be why it's 2 hours. I thought it was one of the scrapers, but apparently it's a different file. Okay, well, we're getting a big file printed. Interesting. What the hell am I printing out now? Oh, it's 1/2 of a BambuLab spool. So this is a refill spool holder. Hey, I probably need one of those. We'll let this print, and I'll print a couple out. I should probably have a couple of those anyhow. So yeah, I'm going to let this print. I'll take a picture of it and post it up. But like I said, we've done all the upgrades to this that we can really think about doing right now. Which once again, we replaced the extruder gears. So the extruder body, I'll say, the extruder gears, the hot end assembly, the cooling duct, and the front plate have all been swapped out. And we did the light swap over as well. So we have a new light on this. So that's kind of where we're at. The nice thing is, even looking at it from the front, you get to see a lot more now than you normally would through that front door. It's a lot brighter because the light's coming from right here at the front. So with that said, I am going to take off. This first layer is going down as beautifully as we would expect from a BambuLab printer that has all of its first layer automatic checks and calibration checks and stuff. So this appears to be doing just well. Polymaker 3D is rating in with 72 people. Holy cow, welcome on in, Polymaker folks. Let's see who else coming in. Additive Adam, Da Vinci, K2 Kevin, hey, how's it going? K2, Zombies back. Who's this? Druid VR, how's it going? Druid VR, Pezlis, of course. Clownhammer, Technoslide. Welcome on in, everybody. Liz, thank you for the 10 cheered bits. Villanux coming in. Bearded Printer coming in. I thought he was already here. A Jedi Spidey just subscribed for 5 months in a row. Hobby Main, welcome in. Pico Boo, welcome in. Warpaint, welcome in. Frankenbee. Stephen Poole, welcome in, everybody. I think I've got everybody called out. Bearded Printer, thank you for the 10 cheered bits as well. Thank you for the follow. Goonies never say die. I heard your name called out recently. You just won something recently on a stream. Stereo Junkie, thank you for the follow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh-oh, Chewy starting a hype train, or it's incoming with 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Chewy. I appreciate that. What are we doing to the X1C? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. What are we doing to the X1C? Let me get caught up real fast. So, Chewy gifted gift subs to Doom Nukin, Yeti21, Monsoon Josh, AFM 380, and Pete Savas. Congratulations, everybody. Yes, you won an A1 Mini on Loyal Moses' stream. Yeah, that was the other night, wasn't it? Congratulations. That's awesome. And who asked the question about what are we doing to the X1C? Technoside. So Technoside. Let me get caught up. Clownhammer, yes. Thank you for the cheered bits. Hobby Main, thank you for the cheered 100 bits as well. Big Tree Tech, the X1C. Pretty much so. Pezla's doing another Gigantify emote. And there will be some new emotes on the channel soon. Zombie jumping in with some gift subs as well. Gifting 5 tier 1 gift subs to Druid VR, Glenn Kaufman, Frankenbee Gaming, Peekaboo, and Civic Stage Manager. Awesome. Thank you for the lurk there, Clownhammer. I appreciate that. Welcome on in, everybody. Yeah, LM is a treasure. He has been giving out so much over the last year and such that it's awesome. And yes, thank you for the gift subs. Thank you for the cheer bits. So what all have we been doing to our X1 Carbon? Well, today, and I will flip over here to the full display so you'll get to see a little bit more on the camera here, hopefully. We did a few minor upgrades. And by that, I mean, we installed the Panda Extruder, which is the extruder housing. So we moved away from this camera. There we go. So we moved away from the plastic extruder housing here to a metal CNC housing. At the same time, we installed the Panda Claw, which is all aluminum, hardened steel gear drive system and an aluminum arm for the idler gear. So this gear that you see right here is plastic, and that will give away over time. Now, the actual drive gear and the filament gears are hardened on this, or not hardened, but they're metal on this. And we just basically upped our game to an all metal extruder system and drive gears that are nano coated. Because this is Dragoon 1, this is my printer that has done a lot of engineering filaments. So ABS, ASA, polycarbonate, carbon fiber versions of all of those. It's done nylon PA 612 CF. And by the way, folks, we are in a level 4 hype train. We're about 17% through. So thank you so much for all the support with the gifted subs and all the cheered bits so far. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. So we did the extruder upgrade part of this. You may also see that we've got a BambuLab hotend sitting here. That is because we also took the BambuLab standard hotend out of the X1C and we installed a Phaetus Conch Plus hotend. So what the Phaetus hotend brings to the table is in the Plus version is a silicon carbide tip and an end-coated heat throat and heat break, which means it's fully abrasive resistant now from the extruder gears all the way down through to the nozzle tip. So that's going to give us longer life, longer wear on this system. The other thing we did that you can tell here is we swapped out the front cover as well as the cooling itself. So instead of just installing a Panda Jet, which is the cooling ducts, we installed the Jetpack, which is the wraparound cooling duct. So it provides cooling from all 4 corners of the hotend. And the Panda Jetpack, which is just the nice front cover. It's printed, it's a skeletonized print done in nylon. And it's nice, 4 screws. You take out the fan and the little circuit board that's in it. You put it into the other one, and it's a boom drop-in replacement. So very nice there. Can you pull up the parts on the Big Tree Tech site? I sure can, TechnoSide. Just 1 second. K2 Kevin is really cool. Zombie's cool too. Pezliz beats you both. Sorry, it's just what it is. Yeah, they have good pics on the site. We'll pull those up in 1 second here. Yeah, the community's been really great. It is a great community to be part of. I really love this community and what it brings to the table. So everybody, thank you very much. We completed a level 4 hype train at 18% with 11 subs and 405 bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All of the cheered bits and subs go right back into the channel and help me get better cameras, you know, and just better gear. And also all of these upgrades that you are seeing in this printer today, I bought and paid for. They weren't given to me. Well, I take it back. The Phaetus Conch hotend is the beta test unit. The one that the box that I showed you is the actual production unit that they sent me in a Christmas gift. But this is the beta test Phaetus Conch Plus that they sent me. So yeah. And you're also seeing on this this is a BIQU Panda Cryo Grip Glacier build plate. So I've got one of those for each one of my printers. They work fantastic. And the thing I like about the Glacier, so the Frostbite has a little more texture and it's really great for PLA and PETG. And it's only to be used with PLA and PETG. The CryoGrip Glacier that you see here works with almost all types of filament, and it's the closest thing to the Bambu engineering build plate that I've seen. When I got this printer, which is the first X1 that I got, I quickly ordered an engineering plate, and when I got the second one, they no longer carry that engineering plate from Bambu. And I don't know why. It really sucks. I was hoping they were going to bring it back when they came out with the X1E, and they didn't. So that's kind of a bummer. Now, TechnoSide, you wanted me to bring up the Big Tree Tech site. Let me go back here, go back, go back, go back, and go back. So this is the Big Tree Tech site that has all of these build plates. They have the cryo grip here, and you can get them in frostbite, glacier, what have you. We've got the Panda Lux. The cryo grip, once again, looks like a standard build plate. Pretty easy. Nothing crazy there. The Panda Lux, this is literally a light bar that just magnetizes to the front frame of the printer. And it's got a separate board. You basically unplug the side light and they send you a board with an extension plug. You pop that plug in where the side light was plugged in. You plug it into the board, and then you plug this light into the board, and you're done. It cannot support both lights without providing additional power. Okay? So we've got the cryo grip plate here. We've got the Panda Lux that we installed. We've got the Panda Claw. Once again, this is an all metal extruder gear versus the plastic gear that comes standard on the printers. This is a nano coated as well, so it's hardened steel nano coated. The support edge over here is aluminum versus plastic in the original one. Yeah, I was afraid because they said that the light is too much and it blows out the camera. I'm not seeing that, so that's good. You do have to grease these gears because it's going to be metal on metal. You do want to grease them, otherwise you get a lot of noise. They do provide grease with them, so go ahead and use that. I only bought one of these. I wanted to see what it was like. Based on how this goes, I'll probably bring Dragoon 2 up to the same thing. Dragoon 2 right now just has the Panda Jetpack and a conch hotend, which just means it's Endcoat on the tip. It doesn't have, or I'm sorry, the conch is just a standard stainless steel throat and heat break with a silicon carbide tip. It doesn't have the additional end coating in it, which will just add to the length of it, right? So far, I really like the look, the fit, and the finish of this. I will probably wind up getting more of these for the other X1C. Once again, the Panda Jet is just the cooling portion, where the Jetpack is the full shroud here. It does have, I believe there's a basic STL file that you can get so that you can modify this to your own liking. Once again, this allows cooling coming from all four corners versus just the two sides. So it gives you better cooling all the way around your hot end. Okay. Yeah, I would probably get the Claw for your Mini. I'm really liking what I'm seeing. It's working beautifully. It's laying down filament beautifully, so that's nice. Thanks for the time here and the gifted sub, Zombie. And have fun this evening. So we added this, and then here is the actual extruder. Once again, this replaces an injection molded plastic housing with straight up CNC'd aluminum. It's a skeletonized extruder frame. It's very, very lightweight. I would have to get a kitchen scale out and basically try and weigh everything to see how much weight it saves, or if it saves any weight at all. But I can tell you, it looks nice. It is very nicely made. It went together very well. It is fitment is very nice. Everything fit very cleanly together. There was no issues. It comes with the 4 screws, the 2 bearings, and of course the right Allen keys that you need to take things apart and put it back together. You would basically pull the existing gears out and the tension spring from the idler bar, and just pull them out of the one, put them into the other, and put the 4 screws back in, and then mount it using the same screws that you took out when you pulled your plastic one out. It is definitely, yeah, I'm going to say it. I think it is definitely worth doing. I mean, the plastic injection molding is great, but I just think having metal is going to hold up long term. And, you know, I'll keep the old extruder because if something does break or has an issue, or if I need to ship the printer back to Bambu for any reason, I will return it to stock, return everything to stock and send it back. But I think after doing the internals upgrade on this, I'll probably get another extruder and Panda Claw for the other printer. I just think it's going to last a lot longer, and especially with me running more engineering filaments through them, it just makes more sense. So far, the conch, just the standard conch hotend, has worked well with everything I've thrown at it. It's been sitting behind me going in Dragoon 2 for a few months now, doing all kinds of prints. And I was really holding out on doing the hotend upgrade on this one because I was waiting on all the Big Tree Tech stuff to come in. And then when it came in, it was more of just waiting because the Conch Plus had already released. And I was just waiting for the opportunity to do all the upgrades in once. I didn't want to tear the hotend apart multiple times just to replace parts unless something failed. So far, like I said, I'm really liking this. It's laying down beautifully. Let me switch back over to this view, which still doesn't show you that well. So I'll actually bring you guys up here with the bench view and see, right? We are laying down beautiful layers, no issues. Very consistent layers. And it's even keeping up with the speed. This is a standard, looks like a standard PLA from Elegoo. In fact, yeah, I just bought a 10-pack of this because it's going to be just parts that I'm printing out. I'm going to be printing out a lot of Warhammer stuff just to show off some of my prints and the capabilities that I can come up with. In fact, I've got a bolter, a storm bolter, and I should have parts this weekend for the mechanized chainsword. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking at, K2, is whether or not the performance is any different. I don't expect the performance to be any different, quite honestly. The main difference here is this has that metal drive gear where the original extruder was a plastic drive gear. That's, whoops, sorry, there we go. I'm not expecting that to drive any big change. It's more going to be longevity and print over time. Like what's the one thing? Does this give us statistics? What are you telling me maintenance? Carbon rod clearance. Oh, that's done. Does it give us any type of history or logging, like how many hours we've got on the printer or anything like that? Like normally on standard clipper, you can go in and see the history. And I've never figured out what HMS is for. But I just really like to know like how long or how many print hours I have on these. Hours of print time is there. Might have less filament issues from the AMS. Most of the issues I've had with loading filament from the AMS has been filament breakage in the tube itself, which is just from stuff that needs to be general device issue or general device info. There we go. Printer's been used for, so I've got 1,586 hours on this printer right now. So that tells you how often or how much I use it. And then let me see this one over here. The other one has 1,269 hours on it. So this one came home with me after Rocky Mountain last year. The other one came back after the at the open house for the Micro Center in Charlotte. Yeah, I think you've had your X1C for longer than I have, though, haven't you, Pez-Liz? I know I've had an Ender 3 that was heavily modified that had well over 8,000 hours on it. And it's still chugging away over at Evil Diesel's house. It's probably got close to 10,000 hours on it. But yeah, I mean, this thing has been a trooper, and other than, you know, I've got 2 textured plates, 2 of the cryo grip plates, and the engineering plate. I have some other plates. I just don't swap them out and do like effects or stuff like that on them. But apparently I'm going to be printing a spool. So this is going to run for a couple hours. I do want to go ahead and call this stream though, partly because I'm not sure how loud this is picking up in the background. And I do want to go down and watch the last game. So far, 3 of the 4, of 3 of the top 4 seeds have been beat in the college football championship, which has been great. Not great, but Oh, look at you. Yeah, I could probably pull all the print hours off of all of my printers. And for the most part, they're close. They probably got a lot more than that on them because some of them, like if you rebuild Clipper, you lose all the history, right? So it's really the last time since you've rebuilt. And like I think even the 2.4 that's going over to Evocate eventually may not be showing the full amount because I'm pretty sure we had to rebuild that when we put over on the Leviathan board. So it's not coming through at all. Well, that's good. And so, by the way, this was the one of the pre-sliced files on the printer, and I'm assuming it was acting as if it's got BambuLab PLA on it, not the Elegoo that I'm putting on it. So the fact that it seems to be printing as good as it is very nice. Yeah, the Prusa wiped several times exactly, and I'm not sure like when you do a firmware upgrade on them if they wipe out or not and start fresh. I can't remember. I haven't really looked at mine in a while, but yeah. So this is going pretty good. I'm really interested in running this a little bit harder. I have some other projects that I'm going to start up here soon, and we'll do some various other materials. There is another upgrade that I have for this printer. This one in particular, and I wasn't going to do it on stream today because there's two other things. One, when I bought the voxel carbon HEPA filters for this, I also bought a bento box for it. So I will be putting a bento box on the right-hand side, and then on the left-hand rear side, we're going to be installing the heater. This is the heater mod that Ember Prototypes showed off on his stream. We're going to be doing both of those mods. Now, when I do that, the reason I'm going to be doing that as a separate thing, I have to take the back panel off and route cables around. So we'll do that separately. And I'm not sure if I want to do that one, and I'm not sure if it'll be a posted stream. Okay? Just because it's not a standard upgrade, it's not a drop-in replacement upgrade. You will be technically voiding your warranty on doing some of that stuff probably. So that's why I'm not going to do that as a mainstream that gets saved and published over to the YouTube channel and stuff like that. I may stream it, I may not, I may just do it. And that's just going to give me more reliability when I do some of the other materials that I have planned for some future projects. So, but with that, folks, it's 8:45. I believe it's 8:40. The game started at 7, so we're probably getting close to halftime. And I do want to jump out there and see some of the game. So I'll let this finish. I will probably do the other half and kick the other half off and let it run overnight. And I'll post pictures. Sorry about that. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to check and see who we can raid out to. And I do want to thank all of the raiders that came in from the Polymaker. And thank you, Polymaker, for the raid. I really do appreciate that. It's always nice to have large raids pop in. And I'm just happy that I can do some of these. You know, everybody likes printer builds, but not everybody wants to do a printer build, and not everybody can do printer builds. But I think showing some of these upgrades and talking about why we would want to do some of these upgrades, it is important to some people. Like I said, if you're printing PLA and PETG with these constantly, there's no real need to do these upgrades. I'm planning on doing a lot of other engineering materials, and it makes sense to then do it. Fixed stitch, static tides, Chef, Chef John Fuge, Lone Mountain Knife Company. Haven't been there before. Lone Mountain Knife Company might be worthwhile. Looks like he's playing Cyberpunk 2077. He's good. Awesome. Yeah, we'll go ahead and jump over to that. Looks like we're starting to get into the first, I'll say, interface layer here. So this will run for about another hour and a half anyhow. So like I said, I will let this print. I will print the other half of it, so it will have a full set. I've got plenty of ABS down here that were on refill spools. So we'll get that going. And thank you for the suggestion. I am going to go ahead and get a raid started over to Lone Mountain Knife Company. Thank you everybody for being here and hanging out with me on this Thursday night. I appreciate all the subs and all the bits. I really do. It helps me bring content to the channel. I've got some great things that I want to do on the channel this year. I've been talking with the artists that I contracted with for a new logo and some emotes and stuff. Sounds like that's going to get finished up here soon. And I do want to make one last announcement. January 18th, our January 18th Saturday stream is going to be a streamiversary stream. Okay? It's my 2-year streamiversary here on Twitch. I am sorry about that. I know that was extremely loud. My apologies. So here in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing our streamiversary. I do have a couple of awesome companies on giveaways right now. I will announce those starting Saturday. So on Saturday stream, I'll do a big announcement about that and who all has chipped in on the giveaways already. And then we will hear more about that then. Thank you, and let's go on over to Lone Mountain Makes. Thanks. And for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, thank you for hanging out this long. Please feel free to subscribe and like and subscribe down at the bottom. Hit the bell and set to all notifications so you can be notified for future videos. The subscribes here, and over on this side should be a suggested video based on the algorithm. Thank you and have a great day.